Hello and thank you for joining us on this episode of NAPTIP On The Move. My name is Angela Agbegi. Recently, the plea bargaining guidelines for federal prosecutors 2023 was unveiled, and the Director General of NAPTIP, Professor Fatima Waziri Azi, was in attendance. Our package will tell you more. Don't go away.
The Federal Ministry of Justice, with support from the Rule of Law and Anti-Corruption Program, ROLAC Phase 2, implemented by International IDEA and funded by the European Union, recently unveiled the Plea Bargaining Guidelines for Federal Prosecutors 2023 and Sensitization Workshop. The Director of Public Prosecution, Muhammad Babadoko, welcomed all present.
Today we are all taking this giant step together to jointly rewrite the story of our legal landscape as it relates to plea bargain. Plea bargains occurs when a defendant agrees to admit his guilt. He is guilty of an offense, and rather than making the prosecutor prove his guilt beyond reasonable doubt by going through the course of trial, the prosecutor makes some form of concession to the defendant in exchange for admitting guilt. The advantage of plea bargain far outweighs its disadvantages, and for us to move our criminal justice system forward, we need to embrace this concept in our legal system as provided under Section 270 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015. I have no doubt in my mind that plea bargain will lead to more efficient use of resources, enhance quick dispensation of justice, and provide quicker resolution to criminal cases.
Goodwill messages were delivered by representatives from the Nigeria Police Force, ICPC, NDLEA, and other agencies. Director General of NAPTIP, Professor Fatima Waziri Azi, highlighted the importance of the plea bargaining guidelines.
Having the plea bargaining guidelines for prosecutors is vital, and it is vital for several reasons. It provides consistency and fairness, transparency, efficiency, victims' consideration, and helps strike a balance between the need for prosecutorial discretion and the necessity of maintaining legal and ethical standards in the negotiation of plea bargain. So having a plea bargain guideline definitely is a welcome development. So I encourage all prosecutors, especially NAPTP prosecutors, to not just embrace these guidelines, but also utilize it.
The Honorable Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, delivered the keynote address.
Today's event marks a remarkable progression in our quest for reform of the criminal justice sector. The Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015 contains so many innovative provisions intended to aid the achievement of its grand purpose. One of those innovations is the introduction of plea bargain in criminal proceedings, particularly for offenses defined and prescribed by the Act of the National Assembly. Under Section 449, subsection 1 of that Act, plea bargain is well described as, quote, the process of criminal proceedings whereby the defendant and the prosecution work out a mutually acceptable disposition of the case, including the plea of the defendant to a lesser offense than that charged in the complaint or information, and in conformity with other conditions imposed by the prosecution in return for a lighter sentence than that of the higher charge, subject to the court's approval, unquote.
He also enumerated the benefits of the plea bargaining guidelines for the federal prosecutors.
It helps in the management of the caseload of prosecutors and enables the state to concentrate its limited resources on the cases considered more deserving of full prosecution. When applied in compliance with stipulated guidelines, plea bargaining can enhance the quick recovery of stolen assets and proceeds of crime. It is also one of the mechanisms that can facilitate cost-effective, timely and sustainable discongestion of custodial centers. The objective of these guidelines is to, inter alia, guide the prosecution and the defense in reaching a plea bargain agreement that is, quote, in the interest of justice, public interest, public policy, and the need to prevent abuse of legal process, unquote. It is my conviction that the guidelines will not only enhance public confidence in plea bargaining process in Nigeria, but will reduce case backlog and congestion in correctional centers and ensure that the principles of accountability, equity, integrity, and transparency are observed in the exercise of prosecutorial discretion on plea bargaining, all in line with international best practices. It must be noted that these guidelines we are unveiling today is a product of cumulative effort of all prosecuting agencies and other stakeholders. I must therefore commend the efforts of every stakeholder institution, particularly the prosecuting agencies involved in the production of these guidelines, for your dedication and commitment to the reforms in the criminal justice sector, especially towards the development of these guidelines. I must not end this speech without acknowledging the efforts of my immediate predecessor in office, Madam Abubakar Malami, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, CON, for his dedication towards initiating the guidelines. May I also specially thank our development partners, ROLAC, and our very committed resource persons. I, therefore, have no hesitation in urging all critical stakeholders to embrace and use these guidelines as a catalyst for positive change so as to boost and strengthen the effective and efficient administration of criminal justice system within our jurisdiction.
Climax of the event was the formal unveiling of the document. The plea bargaining guidelines for federal prosecutors will indeed enhance speedy dispensation of justice in the criminal justice system. This development is a step in the right direction in the legal landscape of Nigeria. The event had in attendance stakeholders from the criminal justice system, including honorable justices of the FCT judiciary, heads of prosecuting agencies, representatives from the civil society organizations, and the media.
A delegation from the Ethiopia border agencies paid a visit to NAPTIP. Let's find out in this report.
A delegation from the Ethiopian border agencies were recently in NAPTIP for a study visit. The team was led by an official of the International Organization for Migration in Ethiopia and the migration advisor of the Swiss Embassy in Nigeria.
Nigeria has implemented a border management system called MIDAS, which has been developed by IOM at several borders in the country to see how this can help the country better manage migration, but also protect migrants, including people who are trafficked, smuggled. And because Ethiopia is about to embark on the same project where this system will be deployed in the country as well. So learning from the Nigerian authority, the Nigerian experience, best practices, challenges is the goal. The visit here at NAPTIP today fits within all of this. We also have someone from the Ministry of Justice who deals with these types of matter with trafficking and smuggling. So this is an exchange, but we want to see with everybody around the table how having good border management can also help into detecting, protecting, but also prosecuting people who commit transnational crimes such as trafficking and smuggling of people. So this is why we're here to hear more about your work and also see how with your colleagues at the Nigeria Immigration Service, how you together can manage these types of issues in order to protect vulnerable people.
Welcoming the Ethiopian delegation, the Director General of NAPTIP, Professor Fatima Waziri Azi, briefed the team on the mandate of NAPTIP, including operational structure and operations of the agency, in line with the five-pronged strategic approach.
So NAPTIP is a one-stop shop of everything that has to do with human trafficking. And Nigeria was actually the first country in Africa to establish its own specialized anti-human trafficking agency, and it's been on record that a number of African countries came to Nigeria and understudied the work of NAPTIP and went back to establish their own version of whether an agency or a unit or a commission to tackle human trafficking. So in terms of operational structure, as of today, we have 32 offices across Nigeria, so 32 offices in 32 states out of the 36 states in Nigeria, and we also operate 14 operational shelters. We have 9 zonal commands, we have 16 state commands, and we have 7 liaison offices. So all our zonal commands have shelters. We have a shelter here in the HQ, and some of our state commands also have shelters. In states that we don't have shelters, we collaborate with the state government when it has to do with either receiving or rescuing whether victims of human trafficking or smuggled persons. So in terms of carrying out our work, we use a 5-pronged strategic approach of prevention, protection, prosecution, partnership, and policy. In 20 years, the agency has received and rescued over 22,000 victims of human trafficking. In terms of investigation of cases, I would say we've investigated close to 15,000 cases. In terms of prosecution, as at today, we've been able to secure 634 convictions since the first conviction was secured in 2004.
Highlights of the study visit was the interactive session as members of the Ethiopian delegation asked several questions on the operations of NAPTIP, which were duly addressed by the Director General. They also commended Professor Waziri Azi and the agency on the efforts and achievements made so far in the fight against human trafficking. NAPTIP is the foremost anti-human trafficking agency in Africa.
Next, we bring you sights and sounds of a conference on global trends in crimes against women in Chennai, India. Keep watching.
The Director General of NAPTIP, Professor Fatima Waziri Azi, was a speaker at the International Conference on Global Trends in Crimes Against Women in Chennai, India. Her speech was on emerging trends in human trafficking.
Since the COVID-19 pandemic, we have witnessed an alarming transformation in the landscape of human trafficking. It is no longer confined to the conventional familiar form that we know human trafficking to be. Traffickers have expanded their operations, infiltrating the online space as much as the offline world, and this shift has brought forth new and unsettling trends that are reshaping the human trafficking ecosystem. With the pandemic, we saw an increase in fake online job advertorials as well as fake scholarships. So these scams are used to lure unsuspecting victims into believing that what is being offered is being legitimate. And traffickers either catfish, or they actively hunt, or they just post online and wait for unsuspecting victims to just click. Then we also have human trafficking fund cyber fraud, which of course lures victims into fake job advertorials and forces them to work as online scammers. Then right now we're seeing an increased cases of sextortion.
She also highlighted some measures to combat human trafficking.
First and most important is international collaboration. Human trafficking knows no borders, neither should our efforts to combat it. So in terms of collaborations, nations need to work together. We need to see the crime of human trafficking not just my problem probably because maybe you might say human trafficking is endemic in Nigeria, but we need to begin to see the problem of human trafficking as our collective problems. So we need to work together. International organizations also need to work together with other CSOs. Law enforcement agencies also need to work together. And sharing information, good practices, and coordinating cross-border operations enhances our collective impact. The second is data-driven strategies. Harnessing the power of data is very crucial in understanding the patterns and dynamics of trafficking. And by investing in data collection, whether analysis and research, we can identify high-risk areas, trafficking routes, and vulnerable demographics. And this information empowers us to tailor our interventions effectively. Prevention is a key pillar in the fight against human trafficking, and raising public awareness and educating communities about the tactics employed by traffickers can serve as a powerful deterrent. Then victim-centered approaches, our interventions must prioritize the well-being of victims. Providing comprehensive support ensures survivors can rebuild their lives. Then lastly, we have legislation and policy reform. Strengthening legal frameworks and policies is fundamental, and countries need robust legislation that criminalizes all forms of trafficking.
The conference, which was organized by Tamil Nadu State Commission for Women, was an exceptional gathering of global minds, including professionals, activists and policymakers who are at the forefront of the fight against crimes affecting women.
Our final report is the 2023 Director General's Staff Awards and Recognition System. This was held at the NAPTIP headquarters. Stay with NAPTIP on the Move.
The 2023 Director General's Staff Awards and Recognition System started with the DG's parade by officers on guard. After the parade, Professor Fatima Waziri Azi addressed the officers of the agency.
Thank you all for your commitment. Thank you. As an agency, 2023 was pretty kind to us. We had a lot of firsts. We had a lot of milestones. NAPTIP turned 20 since its establishment in 2003. It's not easy for something that started to thrive to what it is today. And for any person that occupies a position of leadership, no matter how progressive or proactive you are, even if you are a visionary leader, if you don't have foot soldiers, if you don't have a team that keys into your vision and your goals, if you don't have a team that support in bringing your vision to life, then it is as good as dead on arrival. But you all you've all been fantastic in your various departments, in your various units. You've been very supportive in bringing to life the mandate and vision of this agency. Every day you put your lives on the line, trying to make Nigeria a better place. I see your sacrifices, I see your hard work, I see your commitment. And as your Director General, I will continue to stick up for you. I'll continue to fight for you. I'll continue to ensure that I provide that supportive and enabling environment for you all.
She also highlighted some of the milestones of 2023 and then spoke on the awards.
We initiated what we call the Director General's Staff Awards and Recognition System. We call it the STARS for short, and this is the second edition. It is a system that recognizes outstanding performances of officers as, a motivation for their dedication and to promote healthy competition, not rivalry, but healthy competition.
Climax of the event was the formal presentation of the awards. First category was for the Officers of the Year Awards, presented to officers of grade level 3 to 15 from states, liaison officers, zonal commands and headquarters. Second category was the NAPTIP Operations Awards, presented to units, departments and the best zonal commands. The DG's Special Awards for Dedication and Selfless Service was the third category. There were other categories of awards, including for NAPTIP volunteers, for consistency and promptness at work. The event ended with a commendation for the Director General in this way.
The Messiah of our time, the one that says and accomplishes. The youngest professor and first in NAPTP, our amiable Professor Fatima Wateri Asik, PhD. Hip, hip, hip! Hooray! Hip, hip, hip! Hooray! Louder! Hip, hip, hip! Hooray!
The NAPTIP Director General's Staff Awards and Recognition System is an annual event. Have you been promised a job here in Nigeria or abroad? What about offers of free education or enrollment in a foreign football club? Please do your research. These are some of the antics of human traffickers. Human trafficking is modern-day slavery. It entails forced labor, sex trafficking and organ harvesting. Its consequences have devastating psychological effects such as depression, anxiety, memory loss, severe forms of mental trauma and death. NAPTIP is working tirelessly to ensure protection of victims and speedy prosecution of offenders. Are you a victim? Waste no time. Call NAPTIP now on 0703 0000203 or the toll-free short code 627. NAPTIP, ensuring a human trafficking and violence-free nation.
Before we say goodbye, here's an account of a victim.
My uncle's wife bring me to Abuja to come and stay with her and help her, and she would train me to school. While bringing me here, she keep me with her second son, which is 25 years, and she traveled to Kogi State. She's staying there doing her business, and me and the son and 8 years old girl, we are staying in the house. While that, he molest me, sleep with me, give me pregnant, and he and the mother spoiled the pregnancy. It's my neighbor. The thing was too much, and he will go out insulting me on top. So I tell my neighbor, and my neighbor reported to NAPTP, and NAPTP come to rescue me. After me, I went to school, so they went and brought me back, that I should come and tell what happened, tell them what happened, and tell them what happened. They was asking him, he denied, so they went and called me, and I come and said. From there, the mother now tell him to run. I want to thank NAPTP for saving my life from them.
For more inquiries and support, or to report cases of suspected human trafficking, violence against persons and child abuse, please call NAPTIP hotline 0703 0000203 or the short code 627. Take advantage of the NAPTIP iReporter app and report incidences with ease. Email us info@naptip.gov.ng. Visit our website www.naptip.gov.ng. Follow us on our social media platforms at NAPTIP Nigeria or watch our videos on YouTube.
Our time is fast spent. Thank you for watching and do keep a date with us next week. I'm Angela Agbegi. Goodbye.